Hey there, welcome back to High Infidelity, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to channel for more spicy stories. Now, let's get into today's story video. My 34 male, toxic marriage is crumbling. We have a newborn child from an accidental pregnancy and my wife, 35 female, wants us to stay together another 2 years for him. I don't know if I can keep it up. We've been together for 10 years. We married young, and neither of us had much marital experience or emotional maturity. The connection was poisonous. She was domineering and emotionally aggressive at times. I was needy and perceived jumping through her hoops as a sign of progress in our relationship. We didn't have any life, maybe 5 times in the first year of marriage. Neither of us could communicate effectively with the other. I retreated because she punished me every time I said anything she didn't like. I had a slew of schemes for escape and vengeance. Whenever she harmed me, I'd say to myself, at least I deserve it. She comes from a traditional Asian family and believes that all males cheat. She didn't seem to worry about the actual infidelity as much as she was concerned about the social stigma and particularly the possibility that I might leave her. We both agreed that we didn't want to be married in the first place, but whilst I've desired a divorce for as long as I can remember, she believes in just sucking it up. It was always difficult to bring up divorce in this setting. We nearly agreed one time, but she changed her mind, and no-fault divorce is not an option in our country, so I couldn't go without her permission. Instead, we sought counseling. While the counseling was beneficial and my wife began to treat me better, it did not address the underlying difficulties of connection and pregnant by mistake. Neither of us had desired children, but she felt obligated to her parents to have one, so I caved. When she was significantly pregnant, I had another affair. Although she was bothered by the distraction of her pregnancy, rather than the real affair, she brushed it off and said she wanted us to continue together. I wasn't expecting it, but I'd fallen in love with this new lady, in a manner I hadn't previously. Between this affair and the realization that this marriage was still miserable even after counseling, I was finally compelled to tackle this marriage. Communication. She became my wife seems to have changed her mind about having a divorce now that she has a kid to show for it. She does, however, request that we wait 2 years so that we may concentrate on our new baby. On theory, it makes sense. We're both adept at suppressing our feelings, and living together would make taking care of our infant lot simpler for the time being. However, early parenting is a lonely 24/7 job, and although I adore our kid, the fact that I didn't want to be a father increases my need for emotional support and connection, which I don't receive from my wife. My wife has agreed that we may live our own lives apart from our parenting responsibilities, yet her behaviors make it difficult to trust her. She expresses a desire for us to reconcile and remain married. My affair with us ended, but she remained a source of emotional support for me. Despite my wife's reluctant acceptance that I may contact S, she opted to personally harass her, including sending letters to top executives at S's workplace calling her and a home wrecker. S has, unsurprisingly, severed communication. She erupted after a recent counseling session, hurling heavy things at me, beating me, and threatening to harass anybody I encountered for the rest of my life. She is certain that she has the right to determine whether any future partner of mine is permitted to visit our kid, even if we split. When I informed her she couldn't do it legally, she promised to pay whatever it needed on attorneys to make it happen. She has the means to do so. She recently used our kid against me, refusing to care for him for 2 days so that I wouldn't have time to think about dating. What's different today is that the legislation is about to change to allow for no-fault divorce, and I have recordings of her hurling objects at me and threatening me, which might enable me to file for divorce regardless of her preferences. So far, it seems that I have 2 options. Suffer for 2 years as a parent with no emotional support effectively in zombie mode. I'd be afraid to become close to anybody new because I don't want them to be damaged by this crazy. In the hopes of being able to go on with my life and raise my kid from a happy place, I'm escalating into what might be a very nasty divorce fight right now. Our kid will not go hungry monetarily since we are both financially successful, and her family is quite affluent. Obviously, motherhood is about more than this, and despite how awful we have been to one another, I really think my wife loves our kid and tries her best for him. I'm searching for advice on how to make the best choices out of the options available to me. One key note: I reside in the United Kingdom, where infidelity is often not considered a consideration in divorce proceedings, whether for financial settlements or custody. Edit 2. I want to emphasize that my wife is no longer a jerk on a daily basis. As long as I toe the line, she's quite adept at maintaining an air of decency and kindness. The problem is that, in the absence of genuine support and love, being an unintentional parent can be a very lonely and, sadly, miserable experience. Story 2. Me 34 male, with my wife 34 female of 8 years, found out she has been cheating on me. My wife and I have been together for 12 years, 8 of which we were married, and we had a 6-year-old kid. This is how I learned about the affair. To be honest, I'm delighted I found out about the affair. I'm now numb and don't care for my wife, who I believe was just using me for money. I make thrice as much as she does. My sole worry is for my daughter. This is how I found out about it. I've been working like crazy for the past 5 months, plenty of overtime and weekend work, to save money. Her father, who is scheduled to have surgery later next month. The stress of work and everything else got me upset that day, and seeing my wife grinning while texting on the bed instead of speaking or asking how I was doing made me snap and grab her phone. Unfortunately, it was locked throughout the procedure. So I asked her for the password, which she flatly rejected and told me I was mad. I then asked her again or told her I'd take the phone to her parents' house, unlock it, and read the contents in front of them. Her parents are highly pious. If they knew she was having an affair, they wouldn't even consider of leaving her. She remained quiet and informed me she wanted out of the marriage. I hung up the phone and informed her that if she gave me the truth, I would not tell her parents, at which time she confessed to having an affair with a colleague for the last 2 months. I kept asking her for the password, and when she eventually gave it to me, I instructed her to leave the room. I quickly shut the door and reviewed the texts, discovering that it had been going on for approximately 4 months, according to what she told me twice. She couldn't speak the truth even after being caught. I connected the phone to my laptop and downloaded the full conversation history. I'm not sure why I did this, but I'm pleased I did. I then welcomed her in and asked what she wanted to do now, and she said she wanted divorce. So I urged her to wait a week and then make another decision. Consider the daughter, and if you still want a divorce, I will grant it, but I will take custody of my daughter with me. When I questioned him why he was having an affair, he said it was because I wasn't spending enough time with her and was too focused on work. To heck with it. The reason I'm working like a donkey and not having enough time for myself is because her father is undergoing surgery. When I asked her why she hadn't informed me about this earlier, that she needed more time, she said she didn't have the opportunity. I'm not sure how she could while we were still having breakfast, no meals for me, and staying in the same house. When I questioned whether she knew why I had been working all this time, she simply remained mute as if it didn't matter to her. She had a so what type of face. She informed me yesterday that she still wanted a divorce and that she wanted her daughter with her. I informed her it wasn't going to happen, since I had already stored all of her conversation history and would use it in court to get custody. I assured her that I would never abandon my daughter. I just left the room to go to my daughter's room because she was weeping. After that, I informed her that her boyfriend should pay for her father's operation, since I was not going to pay. I've stopped working overtime since last week and begun spending more time with my kid, and honestly, I'll pay for the operation with any money I've saved up to this point. I'm an orphan and I love them. As if they were my own parents, but I only told her that to make her suffer. I was furious, justified, I think. At this point, she began to apologize and asked me to pay for the surgery so that she could stop her affair and focus on her marriage. Honestly, I don't believe her anymore. Her marriage will break apart as soon as the operation is completed. I am considering proceeding with the divorce, but will retain custody of the kid. No need to pay alimony. State laws in case of an affair. Child custody. I believe I can benefit from the affair evidence as well as in return for the money for her father's operation. My pals agree that I should go forward with the divorce, and my lawyer friend agrees and assures me of custody. I'm wondering whether proceeding with the divorce is the proper thing to do. I was more concerned about how it would affect my daughter and how I should inform her family. I don't want to deceive them. They are similar to my parents. Let me fix this since most people got it incorrect. I'm not going to fully remove my daughter's mother from her life. However, I would want to have my daughter live with me. Update: I spoke with my wife's parents today and informed them of my desire to divorce and the circumstances that led to it. I'm glad I met them today, since they first refused to allow me into the home because my wife said I was a philanderer who harassed her and my kid. Thanks to her brother, who also lives with them, I was able to tell my side of the tale. I've given them some time to think about it, and I'm waiting inside the guest room with my daughter and niece who are napping. Update 2. sought legal advice. He promised me that with evidence of infidelity and everything, I would be able to get custody of my kid, as well as no alimony and the right to retain all I had. He also insisted on gathering additional information about the affair partner and hiring a private investigator for that purpose, claiming that it would be useful in the case and that it was better to be prepared. I agreed to it because he understands his profession and would be managing the PI as well. He informed me that if they begin by early next week, we might have a court hearing within 2-3 weeks. I am originally from India. Due to adultery, I may get full custody of the kid here.